Hi, I'm Nadine Curley with FamilyBaker.com. Today's video is on making basic pasta. The um, first thought most people say is number one is why would I do that? It's very inexpensive at the store. And two is that's a lot of work. So let me talk about those two just for a second first. One, it's cheap at the store. But what you get at the store is either the same as getting white bread at the store with no nutritional value, just empty carbs. So if you want to have pasta dishes and you don't want to have empty carbs, what are you going to do? You got to make it. The other option is to buy some of the gourmet pastas, but they're pricey. And the reality is they don't taste as wonderful as what you can make at home. The um, the amount of time it's going to take from the time I walk into the kitchen till I'm eating it is about an hour. And most of that time, the dough is resting. It's not like I'm working during that time. So we're going to show you some of that kind of stuff. The second thing is that what we're going to show you today is that it's not a really involved process. Everything has a learning curve, but you will be surprised how quickly you can actually get this one done. So the basic recipe, one serving for a hearty eater or two kids, is 1 cup of flour and 1 jumbo egg. That's pretty easy. At the end of this video, we're going to talk about a few little tweaks that you can have for flavor pastas, that kind of stuff. But this is just going to be the basic recipe. So if you're having 4 servings, 4 people that are going to be eating, or the equivalent of 4 hearty eaters, then it'll be 4 cups of eggs, 4 cups of flour, 4 jumbo eggs. You can use your store-bought flour if you want, to try this all out. But I would highly encourage you to eat the whole grains so that you can get all of that fresh milled grain nutrient in your pasta. The ease of it is that a cup of flour is about 5 ounces. So if you have a kitchen scale, you can measure that out. But for those of you who are going to go ahead and do the fresh pasta and you're going to mill your own grain, what happens is, which is really nice, is that a 3/4 of a cup equals of grain equals 1 cup of flour. So for us, we make 4 or 5 servings at a time. So say we're going to do 4, I take my 3/4 of a cup and I 4 times into my mill and I have my grain. I usually use this guy. He's my mainstay that I have to mill up the grains. But just for today, I'm only going to use a small amount, so I'm going to be using the Nutrimill Harvest. I know I have 2 mills. Most people do not, but in our business, we do. We use everything that we sell. We kitchen test everything that you have questions, we have the answers because we've been using it ourselves. And when we get a product that we say we don't like, we stop using it. And when people ask us, we say, no, it is not good, and we'll tell you why. So we're going to use this guy today to get us started with the grain. So I'm just going to use my 3/4 of a cup. And with this guy, he's just going to shoot out into my little measuring cup. And we on our site, FamilyBaker.com, under the video link, you will see product reviews, and we'll go through to show you how to use each one of these mills, the Bosch, all the attachments, things like that. So when I turn this on, you're going to hear a sound. That's the normal sound that you want to hear. It's the stones resting together before the grain goes in. All right, so that's going to give me the 5 ounces of flour. And then for your jumbo egg, we use our chickens' eggs from our backyard chickens, and they don't always give us jumbo. Jumbo is about 2.5 ounces of egg, and our girls do somewhere like 2.1 to 2.3 typically. So what you do is you just get your measuring cup, crack your egg into it, and then we'll pour up to the 1/4 of a cup, 2 ounces or 1/4 of a cup. That's the same. That's how much liquid's going to be going in. I want to take one little side note here. I like having the bran that's in the whole grain because it's going to clean out my system. It's the indigestible part. So we're going to put that in there. But some of our customers, sometimes, not always, but they like to sift their grains to get the bran out. So again, we're going to have a review on the sifter. Bosch actually designed a sifter that fits on top of your bowl that you can put your whole grain in, sift out all the bran, and then you'll have the fresh all-purpose flour that has no bran in it, like you'd buy at the store, but it's fresh. So in other words, if you want that, you don't have to go to the store to buy old stale flour. You actually can make that yourself. So we want to show you that under one of our video links. But for this, we're just going to take the 5 ounces of flour, and I'm going to crack one of our eggs. And it came up to almost 2 ounces, not quite. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to get to the 2 ounces, and then pour it in. We are using the Bosch bowl with the cookie paddles. You have to use the cookie paddles, and it has to have the metal drive on top. The cookie paddles are strong enough to go through this dough to mix it all up, and the cookie paddles require the metal drive. So a good rule of thumb is you never have white on white, because the other drive is a white one. So you never have white on white. You can have the aluminum head with the white cookie paddles, and you can have the white head with the wire whips. All right, so I'm going to put that on, and because I don't want flour flying around, I'm going to put my ring on and just put it on number 1. What's going to happen is it's going to do basically the kneading of it, but you're going to hear the sound, and once I hear that sound, I know that it's done enough. That little bit of a clicking sound, that is what the sound that you're going to listen for the dough. So now it's a moist dough, and I'm going to take it out and I'm going to wrap it in saran wrap. If you are using store-bought flour without the bran in it, it only is going to take you about 20 minutes to sit on the counter for the flour to absorb the liquid of the egg and the little bit of water that you put in. The whole grain requires about 40 minutes so that the fiber of the bran has a chance to absorb that water. Again, it's another perk of using whole grains. So while this is, I'm going to wrap it up, put it in the saran wrap, and I'll show that to you in a second. But while that is happening, we're going to get the kitchen prepped for the next stage, and I'll tell you about what you will need for that kind of stuff. So that took minutes, totally minutes, from the time I milled it, threw the things in, wrap it up, set on the counter. So this part of it is not going to take, that has not taken much time at all. All right, so I'm going to get the dough. I just usually form in a ball, so it's just a moist ball. Put it in a piece of saran. It doesn't rise, there's no yeast, so usually just nice and hard. And I stick it on the counter because this is whole wheat, I'm sticking it on the counter for 40 minutes. So now I'm going to clean this up and prep it for the next section. Okay, it's been about 40 minutes that our dough has been resting, and I'm going to show you how we're transforming our Bosch mixer base into our pasta machine. On the bottom of your Bosch, we have these black legs, so we just want those to go down, and that becomes our base. We're going to be using the motor head. First thing I'm going to do is put on the stabilizer leg, and then the roller. The set, we sell 2 kinds of sets, just the stabilizer leg and the roller if you want to do your own cutting or just raviolis or just lasagna. But we also carry a set that includes these, plus the spaghetti angel hair, and that's one roller. Well, all that it does is the thinner you roll the dough itself out determines whether it's angel hair or thin spaghetti or thick spaghetti. And then the other one is the fettuccine roller. Okay, so you just will put this guy on. There's a plastic band at the bottom. That's going to go on the bottom. Counterclockwise turn, and it clicks into place with that. Okay, the other thing I have set up is a cookie sheet with a towel on top. I'm going to just sprinkle some flour. I just milled extra flour up, and I stuck it inside a little shaker to make things a little bit easier. I also have a few more towels sitting over here ready. When we roll it out and we get it to the thinness that we want, we're just going to put the sheets of dough down on here put another layer on, which you'll see this in a minute. So these are the kind of things you want to have set out. You want to have just a cookie sheet and a few kitchen towels. You want to have some flour, and then of course your rollers. Over here we just have a cutting board and something to cut. I use a bench cutter, but you can just use your knife. And we'll unwrap this guy. We want to keep this from being sticky, so we just will sprinkle a little bit of this down here on the cutting board. And then I like working with, now remember I said this is one hefty size serving or two of the two kid size serving. So I will probably just cut this in half just to make it a little bit easier on me as I'm doing this process. And I'll roll that part up so it stays moist. So on the roller, we have numbers. Number 8 is just for cleaning. And with pasta, all you have to do is let it dry. The next day, you just kind of bang out any dough that dried in there. You don't wash any of this. All right, so for number 8, then it's opened up as wide as it can be, so it's easier to get any dry pasta that's in there. But then I'm going to start on number 7 and just go down until I get to the kind of the thickness or thinness that I want to have. So I'm just going to, with the dough, just squish it down so I can put it through the roller. And I'm going to have some flour going. While this is all happening, our water is on the stove and it's getting up to temp. That way, once we roll it out, we get it all rolled out, we get it all cut, it can be thrown in there. You can do it one of two ways, one person at a time, because this is wet dough. It's not like it's going from dry to boiling water. This is going from moist to boiling water. So you can, it only takes like 2 minutes tops for each serving. So sometimes we'll have the kids just line up and grab it in their sauce and go to the table. The next one is, just everybody's just a few minutes behind, or the whole pot, and then just have them all here. All right, so we're going to turn this on to number 1. And start to roll it out. The Bosch, when I had it as a bowl and with the white cookie paddles in there, it was actually doing the kneading for me in that amount of time. But when you look at this dough and you're feeling it when it's your turn to do this at home, you're going to notice, just like bread that's being kneaded, there's a part where it can just pull apart, and there's a part where the gluten strands are lining up. And so that's what I want to do. So I'm going to let this machine do that part for me. So this just takes a couple minutes. I'm just going to roll it out on the largest setting, number 7, and fold it in half. Usually add a little bit more flour at a time so nothing sticks. And I do that until I like that kind of a texture. Don't skip out on this part. If you have to do it a dozen times, it doesn't take long at all. And then once that part is done, and I think I do. I think I usually will do it about a dozen times through to get it ready. So I'm going to do it one more time through, and then I will show you how we do this part, getting all the sheets ready. I was on number 7. I usually skip down to number 5 next. Get a little bit more flour. And obviously it's going to keep getting longer. That's the main reason that I only do half of a serving size at a time, because just for the wieldiness of it. When this starts to get pretty big, you're going to have very long sheets that are not going to be easily to control. So I'm going to skip down now to 3. So I went from 7, 5, 3. To 2. Now, for the most part, there's a 0 on here. 0 to 1 if I want to do the angel hair. 1 to 2 if I want to do spaghetti, thin spaghetti, or spaghetti. And then on the fettuccine, I will usually do a number 1, but I go through 2 times. Each time, even if it's just number 1 or number 2, whichever, if you go through it a second time, it makes it just a little bit thinner. So this guy is pretty much done, and he's not too long. He's easy to handle. I had it on number 2 because I'm going to make fettuccine. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to put him through number 3, then number 2. So I've got a couple there. I could squeeze more in, but just because I want to show you this is what we do. And it's just layers that way. All right, I'm going to do the same with this ball, and we'll be right back to you. Okay, I usually cut them in like serving size lengths, and we'll show you that over here when it goes through. But there's no point in having the real long pieces unless you're making lasagna or raviolis. But when you're just making, we're going to have fettuccine today. So for this kind of stuff, this is perfect size lengths for servings. And obviously they're not the same, but they're close enough. On this side, I have another cookie sheet with a cloth down, and I'm going to sprinkle again just a little bit of the flour. Not much on this side of it because this flour can wind up going into our water, and I really don't want that. But I don't want our pasta to stick as I'm making layers of fettuccine. The little red button, you just turn it, go clockwise, get the fettuccine guy, put it on there counterclockwise, you hear it snap. We'll get our dough, turn it on number 1. And then the same idea as we had over with our dough. I'll just, as we're cutting it, I'll just add another cloth, sprinkle just a light dusting of flour. And then what we'll do when we take it over to the water, you just take this whole guy and just dump it all in. All right, now we're able just to put the pasta, pour it right into the boiling water. And because this was a little bit thick, I like thicker fettuccine, it'll probably be about 2 minutes to boil. You just wait till that translucent color comes up. If you had thinner, it could be as fast as 30 seconds. This is our nice bowl of pasta. I wanted just to talk a little bit about the grains. Some of the grains that you could use, or any of the kind of grains that you have actually, that have the glutinous proteins in them. We have used hard white, soft white, but our favorites are kamut and durum. Kamut and durum are cousins of each other, and durum is far less expensive than kamut is. But these all have just some great flavors that are in there. So with flavors, I just want to add one more thing, like a pasta 201. As this recipe had just the 2 basic ingredients, a cup of flour, which was 5 ounces, and 1 jumbo egg, which was 2 ounces of a liquid. If you wanted to do some other kind of things, you will see recipes where they have add-ins that are on it. So that what's going to happen is you can go to a spice shop and find some really cool pasta kind of things that would go on top, where you can add that inside your pasta. I would say no more than a teaspoon per serving. So if you're going to make 4, you can have 4 teaspoons of some of those the seasoning mixes that are out there. If you wanted to add a little bit of salt, if you wanted to add a little bit of oil, all these things will contribute to some flavor. But try to keep the total amount of flour to, or any of the dry ingredients to a cup, and any of the wet ingredients to 2 ounces, which is a quarter of a cup. So you can have, some of these other things that are going on. If when you are putting the flour and the egg in there and you start mixing it and it's like it's too dry, that's not a problem. That's an easy fix. You just will take a little bit of water and you'll just dribble it in until you get that consistency that we have becoming accustomed to when you were doing just the plain basic doughs. Alrighty, so the total amount of time it took from the time I walked in the kitchen to the time we're eating was less than an hour. It was only a few minutes to mix the ingredients together and wrap it up in saran. And then it was just a few minutes to set things out. We kneaded it a little bit with our pasta roller. We let that do the work of the kneading for maybe a dozen times per thing. Got those all laid out. Then we just sat there and cut as the water is boiling. And then when that's all done, just dump it in the boiling water. And anywhere between 30 seconds and 2 minutes, depending on how thick your pasta is. If you wanted to dry it, you could, but I just don't. I just think it just tastes really great when it's just fresh. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please share us on Facebook and follow us at the Family Baker Arvada. And for more videos, you can go to familybaker.com and click on the video link. Please, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks.